Hello, we are going to be looking at some more with TinkerPlots for Module 3. This is looking at TinkerPlots when we're comparing two variables. Again, like I said in the overview, you kind of already have been doing this, but we're going to be more focused on it and look at it more in depth in this module. So we are going to look at some serial, some data on some different types of serial. So open sample documents, again if you need a refresher, if it doesn't default to the data and demos, it's under computer, local disk, program files, TinkerPlots, data and demos, and then we are going to be looking at health and cereals. So here we have nutritional information for 77 breakfast cereals, and they have information on the type of cereal, which shelf it's on in the store, how many calories per serving, and so on. Also, overall rating of nutritional value of cereal. So all these attributes are collected on 77 different cereals. Again, some of these kind of are distinct colors, or like rainbows, that's for categorical data, and then some of these are gradients, color gradients, that's for numerical data. So let's look at something like calories. So let's color these by calories. And I can separate them into bins, or I can fully separate them by dragging all the way to the right, and then I can stack them. So we get this dot plot for calories, and it looks pretty symmetrical. The mode number of calories is 110 calories per serving, is 110 calories per serving. Some cereals have as high as 160 calories per serving, and some have as few as 50 calories per serving. So we can see the calories per serving for those cereals. We can now color these by, or remember we can drag different variables to the axis so it changes, and we can see how our dot plot changes as we do that, and so on. Let's go back to calories, and let's color these icons by shelf. So remember, this is where they're displayed in the store. So we have, if I turn on the key here, the bottom shelf is pink, the middle shelf is orange, and the top shelf is green. And if I drag these up to fully separate the cases vertically, that's right now it's in two bins, but if I keep dragging it, or choose another one and drag it there, we have the bottom shelf, the middle shelf, and the top shelf. And now we have this interesting look at, looks like on the bottom shelf, if you select a cereal from the bottom shelf, there's no way you're going to get one that's over 110 calories per serving unless somebody misplaced that box of cereal. If you're on the top shelf, more likely that you'll get one that's up here in the higher calories per serving, but it's also possible to get some that are in the lower calories per serving. This middle, they're all kind of right here between 90 and 120 calories per serving. We can look at the box plots for each of these. If I turn on box plots, it's going to create a box plot for each of the different shelves. And these are really some interesting looking box plots. This is what we're used to box plots looking, the top one, because we've got our box and we have our whiskers. This one, it looks like all we have are whiskers though. So what does that mean? Well, that means 25% of the data are over here to the left of that mean, the median, the mode, and 25% are up here to the right. That means 50% of the data are right here at 110. So 50% of the cereals on the middle shelf have 110 calories per serving, and then 25% are down here and 25% are up here. This one doesn't even get to have a whisker up here, so it's an interesting box and whisker plot. So these are some different ways to look at it, but we can see how the cereals are distributed by calories per serving over the different shelves. You could choose maybe something like fiber. Put fiber down here. Looks like those high fiber cereals are up where the adults can reach them, not down where the kids are probably going to select them. And then on the middle shelves, it looks pretty likely that we have a lot of cereals that don't have very much fiber in them at all. So kind of some more interesting box plots for fiber per serving, grams per serving by shelf. So we can use these box plots to help us look at a numerical variable as compared to a categorical variable. Now let's look at ways that we can compare two numerical values. So let's rearrange these icons. And let's look at something like calories. I'm going to fully separate those and stack them. And currently over here on the vertical axis we have counts. So remember, that shows us that's like 3 different cereals have 50 calories per serving, whereas we have a lot more up here, maybe around 25, 26, that have 110 calories per serving. But let's say I want to put something over here instead of just a count. Let's put something like sodium over there. So now there's 2 ways to do this. You can click on sodium and you can, now it's colored by sodium, but if you drag one of these up, it will separate into bins, or if you keep dragging up, it will fully separate these, so we don't have those bins anymore. Instead we have them placed exactly next to the value where they go for sodium. That was one way to do it. Another way to do it is if I go back to calories and fully separate these and then stack the icons, I could take, did we do sodium before? I could take sodium and drag that to the vertical axis, and now it just has it separated into 2 categories, so I will have to further separate them, drag it up to separate even more. So we can see a relationship between calories per serving and milligrams of sodium per serving. We can't really say that higher calorie cereals have more sodium because it looks like it's not necessarily the case. Here we have this really high calorie cereal that has about in the middle here of sodium per serving, whereas some of our middle calories have high sodium values. So we can't really say that there's necessarily this relationship between calories per serving and sodium. We can look at maybe, this is weight, how many, let's see, weight was the weight in ounces of 1 serving. So we could look at maybe calories per serving and then the weight per serving. And now we see a little bit more of a relationship. If we have very few calories per serving, there's probably not going to be very many ounces per serving in that cereal. Whereas if it's a high calorie cereal, probably you're going to be eating more cereal per serving. So we can see somewhat of a relationship here with this one, more so than we did with the sodium and calories. Let's compare calories and maybe something like fiber. Do those low calorie cereals have more fiber in them? Let's see, low calorie serving cereals, we have 2 low calorie cereals that also have little fiber, but then we do have this one low calorie cereal that has a lot of fiber. That is Kellogg's All Bran. Whereas our cereals that have high calories tend to maybe have lower fiber, so maybe there's a relationship, definitely not a strong relationship at all. Let's look at nutritional value. So that's the rating down here, the rating by nutritional value. Are calories in the rating related? So the fewer calories it has, maybe it is a little bit higher rating because these low calorie cereals are rated fairly highly, whereas these higher calorie cereals aren't rated nearly as well as those. However, we do have some that have 120 calories that are rated pretty low. So I wonder why that is. Maybe they have a lot more fat. Yep, looks like these are colored kind of dark. Maybe they have a lot more sodium. Maybe, maybe not. They don't have much protein, these that are down here with low ratings. So maybe there's really a relationship between protein and rating. So let's put protein on the horizontal axis. Low protein cereals maybe have a little bit lower rating, but as we get higher protein, maybe a little bit higher. However, up here at 5 and 6 it has a lot more protein and it's not a super high rating. So there's maybe somewhat of a relationship there, but definitely not a strong one. So these scatter plots, that's what we're making here. These are scatter plots that help us see the relationship between two numerical values. And TinkerPlots makes it really easy for us to make these scatter plots. We can just drag attributes that have numerical values to our horizontal and our vertical axes, and it just places all of these serials as points on this plot and allows us to compare these. The TinkerPlots video with ozones is very interesting and shows you a lot of features. It does go quickly, so make sure to pause and practice as you go. Maybe you felt like I went quickly in these videos. Sorry if you did. But be sure to watch that ozone video because it teaches you a lot of features, and it's just interesting to see how different attributes affect our ozone levels in our air and our air quality. So thank you for watching this TinkerPlots video, and I hope that you learned some more about looking at two variables, either using box plots or using scatter plots.